if you plan to operate without a plan and then do so, have you succeeded?
No. No, because in order to succeed at that,
Mm-hmm.
if you plan to operate without a plan, have you succeeded? No, because you failed it immediately upon planning to operate without a plan.
Okay, so fair enough.
Right. That's the logic of that, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's like every year your New Year's resolution is to not make a New Year's resolution. Insta fail,
Right.
you don't have to worry about it after that point.
Well, actually, in that case, I mean, you can neither succeed nor fail.
You just enter an indeterminate state.
Isn't this one of those things that in Back to the Future was going to cause the collapse of the universe?
Do you, in fact, become Schrodinger's resolution?
Does the set of all sets that do not contain themselves as members contain itself as a member?
Wow, I quit. Hey, guess what?
What?
This is episode 4.
Really?
Yes. Which means technically, I now have to ask you, is this experiment worth continuing? Because that was the original thing. Let's record 3 and see if we like the way it comes out.
We did 3?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't remember doing 3.
Oh, you did 3, all right.
Okay. Well, if you say we did... Look, here's the thing. I showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't continue at this point, then why am I even here?
I don't know. But I felt I should at least give you the opportunity to say, no, this is the worst thing ever, I quit.
Oh.
Not that I'll pay any attention to it, but I mean, you can say it.
Yeah, well, I've been saying that about the other podcast project that we do for like 2 years now, and you won't let me out of that one.
Right.
So...
Okay, so you're just going to assume you're equally as stuck in this as you are in that. That's fine.
Yeah,
I can work with that. That's great.
Yep, I am
problem.
now trapped. But unlike any other projects I'm on, this one, if we're really recording our 4th episode right now, as you say, and I still don't quite believe you,
Mm-hmm.
then at least I'm not starting out behind. I'm actually
Excellent.
starting out ahead.
You're starting out, well ahead at this point.
Yeah, it's
Well
the only
ahead.
thing I'm ahead on.
In fact, we're so far ahead that as of the recording of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
our website still has 2 days yet to launch.
Huh. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. We're recording on a Tuesday. It launches on Thursday. First episode will go out same day. It'll be on iTunes. It'll be on Google Play. And that's it.
Wait, so then, okay, so just so that I understand the flow here.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, as we record this, our supposedly 4th episode, our website has not gone live yet.
Nope.
It will go live in 2 days.
Yep.
With our first episode on it.
Right.
So anybody who is listening to this episode, so people can't listen to what we're saying now for at least 3 weeks.
That is correct.
Okay. So we are introducing a website that people have been presumably using to access our show for 3 weeks now.
Right.
Okay. I just realized a mistake in all this is I'm assuming that anybody has actually been listening to this crap.
Right. Well, here's an interesting thing. In order to get this up and ready on iTunes and Google Play, which traditionally both of them take at least 3 days.
Right.
I had to, yesterday, prior to this recording, put 1 episode live.
Okay.
So it's theoretically possible that somebody's actually listening to the episode right now as we're recording the 4th episode and before we actually make the website public.
4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago.
Right. Because we are 4 weeks in the future now.
Right.
So as of the time that someone is listening to this, it is possible that they have actually been a fan of our show for 4 weeks and also 2 days.
Yes.
Well, good for them. If you are one of those early adopters, we will name you a DS ambassador. I mean, a Digressions and Dragons ambassador. And what did Nintendo do for the people who bought the DS before it wasn't a sucky deal?
I have no idea.
Did you know about that? Did you know about the whole Nintendo DS ambassador program?
No.
When the first Nintendo DS launched, it was ludicrously expensive and people were not happy about it, and I think there were some problems with some features. I don't remember the whole thing. But so like 6 months later or something, Nintendo realized that it was sucking and they dropped the price substantially and patched and did all the other stuff, which made all the people who had bought it before then a little bit miffed. So Nintendo basically said, well, you guys are the Nintendo DS ambassadors. And I think that was it. I think they got a title.
Yeah. Titles are easy and fun.
Yep, exactly.
So congratulations, early adopters. You are now officially Digressions and Dragons ambassadors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it was there. It's for people who bought the Nintendo 3DS for $250 before the price dropped to $165.
Wow.
Oh,
that's an
they actually
expensive
got
title.
they got some free games.
Oh, did they?
And also,
That's not going to happen here.
they were able to download a special certificate,
Also not going to happen here.
which I believe if you had a Game Boy printer was the same prize you got for winning Pokemon.
Wow. The other thing I want to cover real quick
Sure.
is to point out that the next episode 5,
Right.
will be the first one that we'll be able to do feedback on the episodes prior to it from. In other words,
On the episodes prior to that from.
yes, it is a sentence, if carefully parsed, that will make sense. The
That if carefully... Oh, okay. There's a comma phrase. And if carefully parsed is a comma phrase. I got the second sentence, okay.
Okay, good. We're on top of things.
Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Yes. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. The it's all about the inflection. No. So if you've listened to the first 3 episodes, and not you, but you. If
Right.
you've listened to the first 3 episodes and you've given feedback on those episodes, what we're going to do, starting with show 5, is pull some of your feedback into the show and respond to it.
If it's good.
If it's good, yeah. If you just like, you guys are jerks and I hate you, well, that's kind of a given and we don't care.
Also, if we get around to it, which
Yeah. But anyway, so if you've got to episode 4 and you thought, wow, man, I got things to say about some of these things, then by all means comment upon the episodes, and there's like a comment space under each episode listing, each episode's full page. Comment in there, and we'll go through and pull the interesting comments and we'll talk about them.
Or alternatively, if there's something that you would like to hear us talk about,
Mm-hmm.
then presumably you could say that also, because we pretty much come into this with no plans. So,
Yep.
We need something. Please send us your feedback.
Could be anything. There's also if you look on the right hand side of the website, there's a feedback link, which I'm sure most of you will have spotted by now, and that it's not an email address we're like necessarily giving out on the air. I don't think. Is there a reason we're not doing that?
I can't think of a reason not to give out an email address that anybody could discover just simply by mousing over that link.
Right. So we have our digressionsanddragons@gmail.com address, which you can send feedback to or request topics and whatnot, or try to request topics. To be fair, though, we should warn folks. We're not actually doing role-playing RPG advice.
Yeah, please. I get enough of that in the day job, stuff in the day job. Hey, do we have an explicit tag on this or not?
We do not.
Okay.
But I do have a beep, and
Edit
whatever
point.
whatever you just said, it was beeped, and nobody heard you say it. Or it's just not there because I was so clever with the cutting that it just, you never even stopped. It's great.
Or I'm just not in this episode at all.
That's also a possibility.
Just insert an endless string of profanities in every one of your pauses, and you get the same effect.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we're not doing RPG advice. That is not a thing we're going to do. He gives more advice than anybody ever wanted on his own website, and to people who respond in comments there,
and on Twitter.
Yeah. And
you
just don't
email,
really want to
email me, and Facebook, and
yep.
the Discord, and you know what? I'm off duty on this thing. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you don't want my advice, so there.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say this: do not use that email address if you're trying to get in touch with the angry GM.
No.
That's a separate thing from this.
Yeah.
Just to draw a nice Chinese wall there. Not a racist Chinese wall, the actual just term, Chinese wall. It's
the wall of China right there.
No, that's not the same thing.
Okay.
Where does the term Chinese wall come from?
I don't know. I've never heard anybody use it that way before.
It refers to putting a barricade between two different systems that there's like a hole in it that you can pass information through.
Mm-hmm.
But the two things are completely like, it's used a lot in, this is going to be really exciting listening. Okay. It is used a lot in banking and investment business to state the fact that, say, like a bank's investment division is completely separate from its commercial banking division. There's a Chinese wall between them.
This accounting moment has been brought to you by so yes, all right. Just a quick review. Website's live, Google Play is live, iTunes is live. You can subscribe in those two places, or you can get it direct off the website. Our email is live. I have already given out the address. If you don't remember me saying it, just back up a couple minutes before the whole Chinese wall thing.
Which may or may not even be in the final episode.
Right. You can contact us on that or via that. And really, that's just going to go to me, and he's never going to see it unless it comes up in the show topics.
Really? Okay.
I mean, unless you really want another email address to keep track of.
Yeah, I guess not.
Okay. Then
how many, but let's be honest here. How many non-spam emails are we going to get? I mean, how many times can we answer the Nigerian prince here?
I don't know, but if it's interesting, we'll put it on the show.
Maybe it's Vampire Thomas again, trying to reach me by alternate channels.
Okay, that's a very inside reference at this point, because that's got to be, 2 years old?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to pretend you didn't say that, because if you did say that, then I have to ask you to explain it to everybody, and then we've got the whole show's gone.
Yeah, the whole show is gone.
Yeah. Anyway.
If you want to hear more about that, we do have that feedback link.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Fair enough. So yes, welcome. Enjoy the website. Enjoy the episodes, we hope. And I guess we're going to be doing this for a little while at least. Oh, the other thing I'm going to tell you, and this thing I did on the side without actually mentioning it to you.
Oh wait, so you're talking to me, not them now?
Yes, and well, I mean they're here, but okay. You're here as well. But I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
The episodes are going up on YouTube as well.
They're one on who now?
The episodes are going up on YouTube as well.
Is my webcam on? Because I'm not wearing pants.
No. But I've been very clever.
I doubt that highly, but that's experience talking. I'm sorry. That was uncalled for.
Look, do you want me to tell the people about your string of delays just before we started recording?
Hey, just wait. I'm gonna be. By the way, if you can't access the website, it's because I tried to change the color of a thing and insist that I can just edit the PHP or whatever. Like, yeah, it's in the PHP or the CSS. I can do that.
Uh-huh. Right. Anyway, so these are also going up on YouTube. There's a variety of reasons for that, but the main thrust of it is that it makes it open to a wider audience who might not otherwise be able to get the episode. So you remember the last time I was talking about maybe streaming some of these Sega Classic RPGs?
I do remember that.
Right. That plan may not actually work. Okay. Because what I discovered is that over the years, I have developed some sort of aversion to turn-based combat in old school RPGs. It's like I get to the first fight or two in these things, and it's like, oh god, it's going to be 9 hours of this, and I can't do it.
Yeah, 9 hours of well, see, this is the thing. Like, if it was a modern RPG, I would say 20 hours of piloting your character between cutscenes, selecting attack repeatedly.
Right.
But you're playing old school stuff, so you don't get the cutscenes.
I don't even get the cutscenes. Don't even get the cutscenes.
There are some old school turn-based RPGs I absolutely love that I have very fond memories of. Earthbound, of course, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy II, the original Final Fantasy II, the one that is actually 2 because it was 2 when I got it on the Super Nintendo, and I don't care if you say it's 4 or 6 or whatever. Don't give a crap. I don't live in Japan. And like the NES Dragon Warrior games, 1, 2, and 3. And every so often, I really want to go back and replay one of them. And I start it, and I discover I don't have the patience for that crap like I did. I actually need some gameplay in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for a while you did a couple of the so-called walking simulator games. Did you not? Like Firewatch, I think you did. Was that one of them?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. Okay, we'll pretend that falls under my definition of walking simulator. Yeah.
Okay. No, but like I have, or Journey, or Gone Home, or Everybody's Been Raptured, or all those style of games, and I have no patience for them because as nice as it is to move through a world and interact with a story, at some point my fingers get twitchy and I actually need some action in the game. And that's not the way I was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was I loved playing, like I played the platformers, obviously, but it was also all the RPGs that I could eat up. I played the Final Fantasies, I played the Dragon Warriors, I played Chrono Trigger, and I suddenly can't think of any of the other names of them.
Right.
And I would sit for hours through that, and now, and I had no real interest in the actiony games, and now not only have I discovered that I really need solid gameplay at the core of something, I've also discovered that all the games that I didn't play so much as a kid, like all the Mega Man games and all the like Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and a whole bunch of the side-scrolling platformers and the side shooters and all of that stuff. Now all of a sudden I'm playing all those games rather than just playing modern. I mean, I guess I play modern games too.
Yeah,
but
some of the worst offenders are actually the Phantasy Star series.
Mm-hmm.
Because they go to a screen that is featureless and or black. So it's the same every single time.
So like no backgrounds in the
No
combat. You just
background,
see the little
nothing.
characters and the.
Sometimes you're on a grid. Sometimes you're just on a black screen. I don't think that's going to work for me.
The other problem too with because I've thought about streaming some of these turn-based RPGs
Mm-hmm.
with all the text dialogue and stuff. I don't stream those sorts of games mainly because I could not imagine sitting there and watching that stream.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I tend to like I did a stream of Dragon Quest Builders, which I've been playing again, and I even did just one episode of that. As fun as that game is, because it's not voiced over, so it's all just these long text boxes.
Yeah, but I did enjoy watching that stream.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, thank you.
It's one of the funner streams you've done, I think.
Oh,
But then I don't like fun, so there you go.
yeah. No, I've noticed that about you in streams. Any game that I like, you're like, oh, it's another one of these.
I'll warn you though, you stream Sonic 06 again. I'm not watching that.
Oh my god, that was the best stream.
Yeah, but I'm not going to sit there and put up with it again. I'll
No,
find something else to do.
sadly, that was like my peak. I'm never like the amount of people who watched and enjoyed that stream. I have
Mhm.
not matched that since.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so I have this theory,
Okay.
okay, that like I hate Matthew Broderick.
Mhm.
That's where this theory starts. Like I can't stand him.
Okay.
And we all know that Keanu Reeves is terrible, right?
Right.
I mean, you know, but Matthew Broderick in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here's my theory. Every actor, every performer, every creator has the thing they were born to do. In sort of like this Lethean platonic thing where it's in them.
Okay.
And once they do it, and everybody sees, oh yeah, that's the thing. That's what they were born to do. Then after they do that, nothing they do ever looks as good. So like Keanu Reeves might be a perfectly fine actor, but we will never recognize it because he was already in his perfect place, in his Zen moment as Bill or Ted. With one of them, right?
Right.
And that's it. Everything after that just looks like it's terrible, and it's not through any fault of his own. It's because he hit his perfect thing, and now everything else is downhill by comparison. Matthew Broderick is fine, but we can't recognize it because after he was Ferris Bueller, we can't see like him in any other role, and it transcends even like your own personal experiences. Like if you have never seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, there is something missing from Matthew Broderick because he spent himself on his perfect role.
But it's those roles that got them all the later roles.
Right, which is the thing. And some actors, they get close to their perfect thing, but there's still more in them. They're not in that perfect role. And then if they get lucky, they actually find that perfect thing the day before they're ready to retire. If not, they do a fantastic job and then peter out into obscurity, or they never find it and they just lament in mediocrity until they die or whatever happens to actors when we no longer know who they are.
Okay.
That is my theory. So anyway, as far as Sonic 06 goes, that's it. All of my streams are going to be terrible by comparison because they're not the Sonic 06 stream. I am the Keanu Reeves of live streaming now.
I also went back and looked at Sword of Vermillion again and watched that video from Retsu Pare.
Oh, did you find them?
Yes, yeah. I did. They were linked in that episode's show notes. If you missed them, they're there. Go look.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
I'm sure they will. I will say that the gentleman who made the original video, which Retsu Pare was mocking,
mm-hmm.
was not far wrong.
No,
I
no,
understand
no.
exactly what he was doing now and why he was doing it, because that is the game.
Right. No, because I went and actually watched bits of a long play of Sword of Vermillion to understand the context. I'm like, yep, he nailed it.
Yep.
He looked like a fool doing it, but he did nail it.
Yeah.
I did not mean for you to actually go and hunt down
Oh
this
no,
play.
it's too late. We did it. I did it. It's
That's
done. I was watching, again, in my quest for some live play goodness, which I think we determined doesn't actually exist, but whatever. I'm sure we'll get feedback on that. I headed over to Twitch again, and this time I managed to catch the what's it called? The D&D Beyond show being recorded.
Oh, do they do a show? D&D. You're talking about the web-based compendium reference thingy, right?
Yeah, they do. They've got their own Twitch channel thing.
Why?
Because I mean,
I guess because
it's got all the
everybody
same
does.
people on. It's got all the same people as are on the other, D&D live shows.
Okay, that's actually interesting because aren't they? D&D Beyond is an outside company. Well, I mean, it's put out by an outside company, is it not? I get. You know what?
Curse
Let me do not let me
Gaming.
get absorbed in all the business details.
Yeah,
Otherwise, this is not going to be fun.
Curse Gaming is running D&D Beyond. Curse Gaming is owned by Twitch. Blah 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 blah. Things and stuff. If you want to know, go look it up.
Wait, Twitch owns the people who made D&D Beyond?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Oh my god, this goes on my conspiracy wall.
What
That's the missing link.
color thread are you on now?
Purple.
Oh, geez.
But I'm going to switch to white because I think this actually tells me who the milkman is.
Awesome. the two people that were there doing the show are Greg Tito and Jeremy Crawford, two of your favorite people.
I have
And
nothing against Greg Tito.
yeah, no, like I said, two of your favorite people.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was Dragon Talk. So it was D&D Beyond Twitch channel recording Dragon Talk is what it was. That's what it was. Okay. And they were talking about, what is this? Xanathar's Guide to the Realms?
Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Oh, to everything.
Yes.
Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Yes.
Wow. That's impressive.
Has that been released yet?
It has not at the time of this recording.
Okay, and by the time you're listening to this, I'm looking at it now, the release date is the 21st of November, so it should still not have been released now, where now is the listener's now, not our now.
There you go.
Yeah.
The now is the now that we want to refer to. So
when will then be now?
Soon. The point that I caught the discussion at was just the words 27 subclasses, including 4 from the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, are going to be in Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Yes.
27 subclasses.
Does
that seem like a lot?
Yes, but no. I mean, it depends.
Well, that's cleared that up.
All right. I mean, you want my hot take on this?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's the deal. Number one, we know that. Well, first of all, okay, Sword Coast Legends or Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide came out, and it had a few subclasses.
Right.
Which, by the way, subclass. I do not agree with their use of the phrase subclass.
Uh-oh.
Because what they are actually releasing here are builds. Okay? So like you know how when the fighter hits 3rd level, you can select being a weapon master or an eldritch knight or a battle champion or whatever the heck they are. Okay, those are builds that you select at a later level. Though some of them do allow you to swap out some class options, But for the most part, that's what they're giving you is these new little specializations for the existing classes. Okay. Like for clerics, you're going to get more divine domains because that's what makes the cleric a cleric is the light domain, the war domain, whatever. Okay. They did a bunch of them in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide a few years ago. But let us not forget that in this whole length of time, in the last 2 years, because this is going to be released 2 years after the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. They have not been releasing new class options or new player options in any way, really.
Right.
Right? They've only been releasing published adventures, and they did send out Volo's Guide to Monsters, which was sort of a new monster manual, but not really.
Right.
It was like Monster Manual Light.
Disappointing.
Yeah, it had some cool stuff in it, but it did have a bunch of new monsters in it too, but it also was padded with a lot of crap. But anyway, that aside. But what they have been doing is every month they release Unearthed Arcana stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in that Unearthed Arcana stuff, they are always testing new builds. They say this is a playtest build for the Ranger, but the alternate Ranger, which is different from the other alternate Ranger, which is different from this Ranger. Because they just got to keep fixing that Ranger.
Right.
Right? So, yeah, in fact, the Horizon Walk for the Ranger. Oh.
Do you want the list of what they've talked about so far in terms of the subclasses that they've previewed?
Yeah, just 1 second, though, because the point I'm trying to make is they have been making all of these class builds and saying we're testing them for an upcoming product. They're testing them for an upcoming product. They've been doing dozens and dozens of them. Well, apparently 24 of them over the last 2 years. So yeah, you had to know it was coming. And Xanathar's Guide to Everything. I mean, that title basically says, well, Xanathar is there because if you're an old school D&D fan, Xanathar, right? I mean, you just slap that name on there because they already used Volo.
Right.
So, and as far as Guide to Everything, what that means is Book of Miscellaneous Crap.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So anyway, so yeah, I was fully expecting it to have a crap ton of class builds and spells and maybe some feats and maybe some backgrounds and probably a whole grab bag of junk that they couldn't get into the Dungeon Master's Guide in time and they've been sitting on for a while and stuff like that. I guess I could look at the description of the product, but it's more fun to guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So anyway,
so here's the list of so far revealed subclasses.
Yes, please.
For the rogue, you have the Inquisitive, which they said was supposed to be in the same sort of mold as Sherlock Holmes, which, okay, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
And then they said and basically he gathers information, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
and then uses that information against his target. By
I can actually
backstabbing,
tell you a little bit more about that build, honestly, believe it or not. Last year, sometime in the spring, they did an Unearthed Arcana, and the theme was like Gothic stuff. And then they had like there was an archetype for fighter or a build for fighters and a build for rogues. And the build for rogues was the Inquisitive, and the fighter was basically it was Van Helsing and Sherlock Holmes.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so there you go.
Okay.
And that's where that one came from.
The Ranger gets Horizon Walker.
Yeah, okay.
Which is some combination of planar travel and magic, or magic from the planes, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Horizon Walkers. They have a bunch of like You know, I pulled up there on Earth Arcana since I had it right here. Um, planar magic. They can detect the presence of planar portals. That's one of their abilities, and they can ignore damage resistances. So they fight extraplanar threats, and they can detect portals, which that's neat and all if portals are a major feature of your game.
Right.
But I can't think like how many GMs actually have worlds where there are just all these portals scattered around where you are so frequently within 1,000 feet of a portal. I mean, I guess, okay, again, Forgotten Realms had portals to everywhere, from everywhere. It was loaded with them, but there you go. Sorry. Anyway.
The fighter gets Cavalier, which is from the first edition of D&D, the Unearthed Arcana book.
Right.
The Druid gets the Circle of Dreams, which is apparently Fey-oriented.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Draws a lot of power from the Feywild and the magic from the Feywild and whatnot.
Sure, because we need an overlap for the Fey Warlock.
Sure. Meanwhile, the Bard gets College of Glamour, which is also sourced from the Feywild.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's glamour is illusion and deception magic. That makes sense.
Right. The Cleric gets the Forge Domain, which they said was basically specifically for making dwarf clerics.
Good. Now Moradin has something to do because
Sure.
Yeah. Adventuring clerics. Of the many things that Moradin, the all-father of the dwarves, defender of the dwarven strongholds, creator of the race, and also the master of the forge, of all of the things his adventuring clerics are going to specify in, it's going to be crafting and not that role as protector of the dwarven people or bringer of life to all the dwarves. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be the forging bullshit. People don't think when they make these clerics. It's like there are some clerics who would not wander the world adventuring. I mean, there are some roles that just don't have clerics. It's okay to have a god who doesn't feel the need to have a militant wing of their church. The god of smiths is one of them.
Yeah.
He sells stuff to the churches with the militant wings. He teams up with like Bane. Though again, Moradin and dwarf gods, they are more warrior oriented and honor oriented. But it's not like they didn't have stuff to do already.
Yeah.
Anyway,
go make the stuff. Why are you wandering around?
Right?
People need shovels.
So go make the shovels. But it's easier to go down and delve into a dungeon and steal all the loot so we can buy shovels for the people. From smiths, and that's how we serve the smithing cause.
Yeah. Finally, the most...
Otherwise, this is going to take a while.
The most recent one revealed, I think actually revealed within the last day or so, is the fighter subclass Samurai. Okay. Which is based on, according to the developers, Kurosawa, and not, say, historical samurai.
Well, they have to specify that.
So
yeah, you wouldn't want to get Akira Kurosawa's samurai confused with historical samurai because they are nothing alike.
Yeah.
Oh my god! What are
Yeah, it's interesting. But it just jumped a question to the front of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we need subclasses?
Okay, well, see, again, I got to walk the middle line here.
Right.
Okay, because I could say, okay, first of all, there's a problem with that question, and there's a problem with all the questions like that. Of why do we need X? Okay, strictly speaking, a game does not need anything. Okay. You decide to put this or that in the game because it serves some purpose. Okay? The idea of... I actually kind of like the way 5th edition handles... we'll call them subclasses just to keep this discussion easy. I like the way 5th edition handles subclasses because they are basically just specializations. They are choosing of the class's many varied roles. They're choosing something specific to follow, and that sort of specificity of choice. Players like that kind of a thing, right? It helps them tweak the character a little bit so that every wizard is not the same wizard and every fighter is not the same fighter and so on. And in 5e, they also use it to let you choose some of the complexity of the character. So, for example, the fighter, if you just choose Battle Champion, you get a bunch of abilities. I think it's Battle Champion. If I mix up the names, I mix up the names, but you'll know what I'm talking about. So the Battle Champion build is basically mostly just some simple static bonuses. And the Weapon Master lets you choose maneuvers and have maneuver dice and spend the maneuver dice on different maneuvers to do different things. And then in there, you can highly specialize even further. So in that case, you can actually choose the complexity of your fighter and then further stylize it so that the fighter can contain other archetypes like the general or the brute or the defender or whatever. So I'm all for that. And I'm actually even all for the fact that you delay the decision of the subclass until second or third level. Because it gives players, especially newer players, a chance to just kind of feel out the basics of the character and then decide, this seems really cool. I really am focusing on this. I want to go this way. As a ranger, you can decide, do you want to focus more just on your own combat skills, or do you want to have a pet? That's a cool choice to make, and that's fine because the people who want the complexity of having a pet can have that, and the people who just want to be a ranger can have that. I'm fine with all of that. That's my defense of the subclasses in 5e. But, like anything, it is possible to go too far. I like marshmallows, but that doesn't mean that I would like to be tied to a chair and have marshmallows crammed down my throat for an hour straight. And that is what this whole subclass thing becomes. It's just too many damn marshmallows now. Because it's now reaching a point where every class is starting to drift. You're starting to get these overlaps. Like, okay, so taking away the whole Feywild connection, which is an excuse. The bard who specializes in illusions is different from the wizard who specializes in illusions. How exactly? Because he knows how to play a musical instrument.
Yeah.
It's like at that point there's a little bit of... And the warlock, the Fey Pact warlock, is also very specialized in deception magic. Illusions and trickiness. So, now you have these three roles being overlapped, and what good does that really do the game? Because now all of the lines that you might draw between the classes, where you make a class choice, like I want to play the bard because I want to play this, or I want to play the wizard because I make that, it erodes all of those class choices away. So it's like at third level now you can decide, or second level, or whenever you choose this option, depending on your class, and some of them do have to choose it right out of the gate. But at whatever level, now you decide, I picked the wrong class. I really wish I had played the Fey Pact Warlock instead. I'll just turn my bard into Fey Pact Warlock without the unpleasantness of the pact. And then you could say, well, the difference is in the fine details because this one has this ability and this one can do spells this way. And it's like, yeah, but you're eroding the flavorful distinctions between the class. And every time you try to explain now, your definition of a class has to incorporate all of the possible subclasses. So now when I say a bard is this, I have to include in my definition of a bard who may also have been taken away by the fairy queen and taught music there and tricky illusion magic instead of being educated at a bardic college. Which bardic college is actually the choice that you make, is which college of bardism did you study at? And now there's the battle bard, which is basically the skald, and then there's like the minstrel bard, and now there's also the kidnapped by the fairies and taught music in their college bard. So every time you add more subclasses, you are broadening the definition of classes, some of which are already needlessly broad, and others of which had very nice, flavorful distinctions that are now being ruined.
It feels to me
Yes.
Like the thing that they're trying to do with 5e in particular
Yes.
is to make it so that nobody has to live with any particular character choice they've made. Not that they had to before, because you can always, kill off a character and roll up a new one. But it seems like they've now made it possible for you to just say, much as you used in your example, oh, I'm tired of being a bard, I want to be a Feywild bard.
I like what you're saying there, and I mostly agree, but I also disagree a little bit. I have a slightly different take. Same
Okay.
idea. Okay. They are trying, because 5e is the addition of nostalgia and compromise. Right? These are the two
Mm-hmm.
things that 5e is. It is nostalgia and compromise. They are trying to find a compromise between the people who like classes and like to have and like simple choices and well-defined classes, like say the 4e era,
Mm-hmm.
and the people who don't like to feel pigeonholed by a class, and when they choose a class, that shouldn't make too many choices about their character, so they should be free to do this and this and this, and every class should be able to do a little bit of everything. And in so doing, they're walking that middle line where these classes have these really nice, in some cases, have these really nice, flavorful distinctions, like the warlock, and fit into the world in a certain way, that are being utterly destroyed by the fact that we have to build 70 different options into them. On top of which, they also have to, for the nostalgia crowd, incorporate every build of every character that has ever existed in D&D, because if you remember back a few years when they were first trying to drum up support for the upcoming 5e, one of the things that they stated as a goal was everything that has ever been in any edition of 5e or in D&D would be possible in 5e.
I do vaguely remember that.
Yeah, they said that. And it was like, well, how are they going to do that? Well, endless subclasses. There we go. Eventually, we're going to have aquatic elves and winged elves, and the 1,000 different elves of Faerun, and it'll be wonderful.
Hmm.
The only good thing is that you don't have to allow any of this crap in your game.
Yeah.
Core only. My favorite 2 words ever.
Remind me what one of the problems with getting into Pathfinder nowadays is.
Uh,
Just real quick, remind me.
oh, the core rulebooks are obsolete.
Uh, and because?
Um, because they have released so many different new supplements and classes that the core classes no longer hold up.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I just double checking.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but to be fair, 5e has a long way to go before it hits that point.
Yeah, it's I'm granted, it'll be a while before we get there.
And honestly, every edition has its bloat, and to be fair, 5th edition has been fairly restrained.
Mm-hmm.
Some would say anemic. But then
some would say that.
Right. But then damned if you do, damned if you don't. There, it's like we complain that they release too much stuff, and then we complain when they're not releasing enough stuff.
Yeah.
So they can't make anybody happy with that one, and I fully accept that.
Especially not anybody who's played the game for more than, say, 5 years. Yeah. It seems weird to me that you're going to put out a book with 27 subclasses in it. I mean, I could understand if there were a dozen, maybe. Give you a couple options for each standard class. But 27 seems like a lot.
Well, what bothers me about it is not just the 27 subclasses. Because again, we knew they were coming and they got to fit them all in, and this is their miscellaneous book. This is the book of stuff they like. I swear it's like, hey, we got to publish a book that isn't an adventure. Okay, everybody, whatever you have on your desk, bring it over here. Let's see if we can get it in the game. Subclasses, great. DM options, great. Oh, we got new monsters? No, we just did Volo's, Volo's Guide to Monsters. Nah, we don't need new monsters. Got any traps, though? We'll do traps. Magic items? Yeah, we'll stick them in. I swear that's what they did because they had to have a book, which is exactly how they wrote the DM's guide. It was like, well, okay, we have the list of magic items. Anybody got anything they could write for the DM's guide? Throw it in. Okay, world building. Excellent. Chapter 1. What do you got? What's next? Okay, building adventures. That's good. Chapter 3. Rules options? Well, chapters 7 and 9. I know my numbers aren't exact, but if you look at the arrangement of the book, I'm damn close.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we knew this miscellaneous book was coming. But what bothers me about it is it would be cool if there was a thematic connection in this book. Like, Xanathar is the crime lord of Waterdeep. He lives in Undermountain, right? He's a beholder who is like the mob boss of Waterdeep who lives in Undermountain. So wouldn't it be cool if Xanathar's guide contained more like the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, contained more like, okay, here's Waterdeep, here's some maps of Undermountain, here's a bunch of urban and dungeon crawling themed character options, here's a bunch of magic items, here's a few cool NPCs, here's a write-up on Xanathar, here's a write-up on Hallister, right? Hallister was the mage. You know, stuff like that. Here's some neat locations in the city. Not a giant map of the city with 1,000 different locations, but you know, like here's the House of Wonders and the other. I'm not really up on Waterdeep.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying. I mean, we don't need like 150 different little shops and stalls and people, and we just like a dozen interesting places to actually go.
Yeah, and reasons to go there, which is the other thing that they lack when they start doing this stuff, is like, you know, building in a reason for you to go there. Here's something neat you could do with this in your game.
Yeah, let's go to the Yawning Portal, and then let's go do these other adventures instead.
Well, right, and that's what killed, like, now, okay, Yawning Portal, Volo's Guide to Monsters, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Okay? We are now in the era where D&D is just throwing an unrelated name into the title of their products for name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Volo has nothing to do with Volo's Guide to Monsters. Xanathar has nothing to do with this book. What was the other one I mentioned? Oh, Yawning Portal. That book had nothing to do with the Yawning Portal.
Nope.
Right? But here we are. Because you throw that name in, and like the old school gamers, because remember, we got to get those old school gamers back, stop them from playing Pathfinder, bring them back. Forget the newbies, we want the old school ones, the ones we lost, the ones who didn't like 4th edition, the ones who got sad at us. Bring them back. Here, look, we're mentioning names of things. Don't you love things and names? Even though they did that survey and discovered that 60% of GMs are running stuff in their home campaigns or just no campaign at all. And 30% of people are using Forgotten Realms, and 10% are Greyhawk.
I don't really understand why this is the route they're going. I mean, I kind of do, but it kind of doesn't seem like it's in a very effective route for them to be going, I guess. So I don't understand why they aren't choosing a different way to get to the same approach.
Well, of course, we don't know how successful they actually are.
Well, true.
They play. It could be working, and you know what? To some extent, I can see it working among a certain market because it's the same market that is, that is having all this stuff remade from stuff they are too young to have any memory of, like DuckTales.
Oh, those guys again.
So, Xanathar's Guide to Everything is coming out. You gonna buy it?
Eventually, maybe, but I'm in no rush.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on what else is in it, because this is not enough to attract me.
All right. Well, now I am looking at the product description, and I will tell you dozens of new spells, feats, and a system to generate a random backstory.
What? So tables to roll on, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Say, more of those tables. A variety of tools that provide dungeon masters fresh ways to use traps, magic item, downtime activities, and more, all designed to enhance a D&D campaign and push it in new directions. Amid all this expansion material, Xanathar offers bizarre observations about whatever its eye stalks happen to glimpse. Pray they don't come to rest on you. Okay, so there's also going to be cutesy little sidebars.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's great. Yeah, it just doesn't sound like a product for me, frankly. Which is fine. They're allowed to make products I don't want, I suppose.
You know what?
But it would be nice if they made a product I did want.
My curiosity on this one is piqued.
Is it?
Yeah, I might actually consider picking this one up.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I like looking at mechanical options. And I'm not at that sort of jaded, cynical point yet where I assume that everything they add to the game is going to be crap. Because I really don't, it's important to say every time we have one of these discussions, I like the game of Dungeons & Dragons. I like D&D 5th edition. It is fun to play. No matter who you are, and no matter how much you don't want to kill a PC, because, okay, if anybody writes to us and says, by the way, you said player death and you meant characters, I will find you and kill you. Okay? Everybody knows what someone means when they say, I killed a player. Okay? They meant you killed a character. Okay? Context tells you everything. So at that point, you're just being a snarky, pedantic jerk. Okay? Because you think you're funny and you're not. Well, no, we do allow those, but those seats are taken. Anyway. Okay, so. Besides, why would it be called TPK? Total Party Kill. Oh, Total Party Kill. I did it myself. Okay. Or Total Player Kill. No, it's Total Party Kill. Never mind. Yeah. Never mind. Edit point? You're just gonna leave that in.
I'm just it's not Total Pebble Knockdown either, like has been suggested elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. So, no matter who you are, no matter how much you lament killing a character, at some point after that character dies, especially if you kill the whole party, there is a little voice in the back of your head that whispers, "I win," and laughs. Okay, yeah, you're laughing because you know it's there. Yeah. Because no matter how much you don't want to do it, and if
it's not saying that, the other thing it's saying is, "I gotcha."
Right. Yes. And then depending on the player, it might be that's for whatever incident.
Right.
Okay. But the thing is, so I have commented several times to people that I actually keep a player death score. And then people ask me for the details. And there are three levels of player death. And they are based entirely on who the player blames for the death. The lowest level, the worst level, the one that scores the fewest points, is what I call death by fiat. Okay? That's your rocks fall, everybody dies kind of death, where the GM just declares you dead. But that also includes the deaths where the GM threw the party against a level 30 dragon and they're level 2 or whatever. Okay, anytime the players walk away from that table thinking that GM killed us, that is death by fiat. Okay, that's 1 point. That's crap. Okay, the next level up, okay, is what we call ostensibly fair deaths. And by the way, when you saw me having this conversation, I had forgotten the name of my second rank, and I have since remembered it. The second rank is the ostensibly fair death. Okay, that is where the players look at the situation and you rolled a crit on a monster and the player was out of healing potions and they knew it and everything was going bad, and then you rolled the crit and the character dies. Dead. Okay. Everybody looks at that situation and says, well, the dice did it. Or, well, the situation did it. No one's really to blame. It was just a part of the game. That is an ostensibly fair death. Right. Those are okay. 2 points.
2 points. Okay.
But the big one, the one you are going for as a GM, the one that scores you the most points, the one that you want to keep with you forever, is the 3-pointers, the assisted suicide. Now, obviously, the most obvious examples of the assisted suicide death are, of course, like the Devil's Mouth, right, in Tomb of Horrors, where if you stick your arm in, there's a black hole, basically a sphere of annihilation on the other side, and it just disintegrates you. Okay, right. Everything about that situation says, don't do this, don't touch, this is terrible, don't do it, and then the player does it. Okay, so that's a clear example of an assisted suicide. But there are more subtle versions of the assisted suicide that also count. And I'm really good, by the way, at getting assisted suicide deaths. Okay? Because the key to an assisted suicide death is that when the players walk away from that table, they think they did it. They think that death was their fault. Either the player made the bad decision or the party as a whole made a bad decision. But everybody can look at the situation and say, well, we deserve that. We brought this on ourselves. Okay? And the really, 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 really good ones are the ones where the death is so horrible and the players feel so stupid that they think that they are bad at the game. Okay, that they not only do they like, oh man, we screwed up. It's like, we are terrible at this. Why are we so bad at this? Okay, if you get the players beyond the assisted suicide death at 3 points to an assisted suicide wherein they question their own skills, you can get 4 points. Okay,
do we not just understand how to play this game?
Right, and then the 5-pointer, the best death of all, the one that will win you DMing every time, is the one where a player actually questions their ability so much to play the game based on what just happened, they quit playing.
Ooh.
Because in that case, you really have accomplished a player kill. And that's my scoring system. Now, we're going to get email about that because people
yes, we are.
That idea. People are going to hate it. But I'm going to tell you something. If you actually listen to what I just said, then there is actually a very important piece of DMing advice in that death scoring system that actually means something. It is actually really good DM advice. But I'm going to leave it to people to figure it out. Have you ever, as a GM, had a particularly memorable character death, a death that you have allowed to happen? Because that's the other secret, is that you are actually responsible for every death that happens at the table, right, insofar as you could have prevented it. But have you actually had a memorable death? Have you had one that left you feeling particularly guilty, or have you had one that has made you very proud?
I never feel guilty.
Okay, that's a good start.
So yeah, I've had a bunch, actually. If anybody in this conversation is a killer GM, it's probably me. Mm-hmm. I shall example you an example. In a D&D 3.5 game of my own devising, I had a number of players. In fact, I think at the time I was running for 7 players.
Ouch. Okay.
Which is, yeah, it's too many.
Yeah, especially in 3.5.
Yeah, it's too many. But they were all new players, and they weren't all sure they wanted to play. So I figured I would just do them all at once, and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Right. But I had some definite problem people, even just within that parameter. I had a guy who rolled up a level 1 rogue, and I said, "Okay, make a backstory for him, so I kind of know what they're about and what's going on." And he wrote this long, elaborate backstory about how he was really the best assassin to ever come out of this assassin clan people, and just like the biggest terror in the world. He was such a good assassin.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, level 1.
Because backstories before you have to actually make any die rolls, you can do that.
Yeah. So that was nice. I thought to myself, okay, Well, there's a lesson here, and I shall teach it. And I let him play with that backstory for about a week of in-game time.
Okay.
And then actual members of that clan came looking for him. Having heard him bragging about how good he is. They cornered him one day. Two of them. They cornered him in an alley. And given that he had claimed that this clan had association with his reputation, I elected to give them some levels.
Sure.
Okay.
They wouldn't send out the chumps.
No, some significant levels.
I mean, after all, this guy is the best assassin in the world.
Yeah.
You're not going to send out a first level character to take him down.
That's right. And the inevitable happened. He discovered that he did not have enough attacks to kill both of them at once, or in fact, both of them at once over any period of time at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they swiftly made short work of him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a definite, and I knew by that point that was going to happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because he was not one to continue on with us. Yeah, so he was eliminated. In that same group, there was a monk who had much a similar story.
Okay.
About being the best monk of all the monkey monks in the whole monking world.
Right.
And traveled with a flute. Well, she had gotten in a pretty bad fight at one point, of appropriate level. And decided she needed more training. So she went to find a dojo in the town we were in. I said, okay, sure, you can find one. She went into the dojo, and the master of the dojo confronted her and asked her what she was doing there and what she wanted. And she said, well, I'm something along the line. This has got to be like 12 years ago now. Something along the lines of, well, I'm the best monk there ever was, but I can't seem to do anything in these fights. At which point the master looked at her, snatched the flute out of her hand, immediately challenged her to a fight, and beat her to death with her own flute. Now, those are pretty minor stories in terms of character deaths, and you'll notice that they're all class 1s.
Yeah. You're kind of a jerk, sir.
Oh, I was. That's for sure. But here's the real jerk story.
Oh, good.
Okay?
Because I wasn't convinced.
No. And I realize you have the reputation for being the jerk GM.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah.
But we're about to fix that.
Okay.
A small party of 4 adventurers, one of which was a druid with a wolf companion. Okay, got me so far?
Yeah.
They're about level 2 or level 3.
Okay.
They arrive at a town after having completed one adventure successfully. As they approach the town guards stop them, look at the druid, and say, I'm sorry, but your wolf is not allowed in the town proper.
Fair
and of course he went into, I vouch for him, and blah, blah, blah. And they said, no, I'm sorry. He's a wild animal. He stays out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So after some discussion amongst themselves, they decided, yes, okay, the wolf can stay out of town. And the druid will go in to town. Now, are you beginning to spot the problem with this thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can sort of see that there might be some, something here.
So they go into town and
Right.
proceed to spend 3 weeks having an adventure in town.
Yeah.
They even go so far as to rent a barn or a warehouse or something like that and set up shop
Okay.
inside the warehouse in the middle of town. Never once does the druid go out to check on his wolf or see what it's up to.
I'm sure it's fine.
Never once. I then gave them an adventure out of town. They actually had to go to a druid grove because I'd been keeping my eye on this wolf thing the whole time, right?
Oh, sure.
And the more
GMs
he seemed
never forget.
Yeah. And the more he seemed to just forget about the wolf entirely, the more I kept track of what that wolf was doing.
Excellent.
They proceeded to go out of town again on an adventure. I don't remember the exact specifics, to a druid's grove is where they eventually ended up. Not his, somebody else's, much more high-level druid.
Mm-hmm.
They do whatever it is they had to do out there. Never once did our druid even attempt to figure out where his wolf was or what was going on with him or anything like that.
I have a wolf?
So they do the thing at the druid grove, and he goes to the druid whose grove it was and says, "Oh, well, I'm glad we could help you out, blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm a kind of a new druid. Do you have any advice for me?" And the druid master of the grove there looks at him and says, "Yeah, get a companion animal. They're very helpful in situations like this. You took a lot of hits back there. A companion animal might have helped you out in some way with that."
Oh my god.
And our druid went, "I've got one.
I gotta make a call."
And of course, the conversation went from there. "Oh, you do? Yes, he's a wolf. Well, where is he?" "Well, he's back at town." And then the druid, the master of the grove there, stopped him and said, "You left your animal companion back at town, unsupervised." Yeah. And then he got the chewing out of his life from that druid master.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So now all of a sudden it's, well, I got to get back to town and figure out what happened to my wolf, where it went, what's going on, you know, do. So off they charge, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got you. He gets back to town, stops at the gate. The same two guards are out there. It's their rotation again. And he says, "Have you seen my wolf lately?" And they look at him and go, "Your wolf? Can you describe it?" And they do it in that, you know, really suspicious way, you know, "Your wolf? Can you describe it?" And he proceeds to describe it. And the guards look at him and go, "Oh yeah, we put a wolf down just like that 2 weeks ago." And of course he freaks, you know, he's like, "What? You did what?" He said, "Yeah, it attacked the sheep and we had to kill it."
Yep.
"But my wolf would never do that. Did you train him, blah, 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 blah," you know, all that kind of stuff. The guards are like having none of it. "Well, we caught him at it and we killed him."
Well, also you owe us for 50 sheep.
Yeah. And this player, it was so flipped out about this whole thing. I mean, not like he was mad about it. I mean, he knew he'd screwed up.
Right. He knew it was his fault.
Yes. But he was so flipped out about it. I ruled that his character was suffering some trauma from this. Having discovered, you know, mental trauma, having discovered he'd been permanently separated from his animal companion, that he'd failed in his duty, I ruled that there was some mental trauma there for him.
Sure.
Okay. So we go back into town. Now, I'm not done with this guy yet. I let another couple of days...
You just keep kicking him, don't you?
I let another couple of in-game days pass, during which time, for some reason, I can't remember what it was, they had decided that they were going to take care of some farm animals. Possibly it was as recompense for the sheep attack. I don't remember exactly.
Okay, so when you say take care of, you mean administer care to?
Yes, administer care to.
Take care of.
A little animal husbandry.
Okay.
And this druid was doing it all. And walking, he would walk out of town to the farm, do all the farm stuff, come back from the farm, come back into town. And he did this, 2, 3, or 4 days. I can't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked at him and I said, well, you haven't really, taken any rests, or, you're not like stopping to eat. You're just doing this. You're walking back and forth a lot. What kind of shape is your clothing in?
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, I don't know. I mean, what kind of... So I made him roll. I can't remember what the roll was exactly, but I made him roll just to see what kind of shape things were in.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he rolled really low, which is, perfect for my plans. I said, you've kind of worn out your shoes and boots, your boots or whatever they are. The soles are starting to wear thin, and they're kind of coming apart with all this walking around and fighting and, dealing with the sheep in the mud and all that kind of stuff. And he said, oh, okay, I'll go buy some new shoes. So, off he goes to find a shoer, or whatever they're called. And amongst the selections in this gentleman's shop is a pair of very nice... You can see this coming, can't you?
Yeah, because it's what I would do.
It's a pair of very nice wolfskin boots. And I told him, I said, he's got a lot of, standard tanned leather, that kind of stuff, but he's got one really special looking pair that really catches your fancy. It's like they appear to be made out of wolfskin. The Druid goes, oh yeah, what kind? Well, it's wolf, whatever. He says, well, what's it look like? I say, well, it's like, brown spots with some white trim and whatnot. He says, brown spots with white trim? Well, that's just like what my old wolf was.
Oh, God, Woofy!
No, he didn't connect it. He did not connect it at all. I mean, this is pulled straight from the description on his character sheet. Okay? He doesn't catch it. He goes, I'm going to get those in memory of my wolf.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So he does. And he puts them on. And then I drop the bomb on him. Which is, you do realize, don't you, that you have just purchased and put on and are wearing the skin of your former animal companion. And you're a druid. And he went, I am?
Not anymore.
I went, yes, you are. And I'd like you to make an intelligence check. Which he failed.
Is this a coyote check?
He failed badly.
Okay.
And I said, you have a problem, sir. Remember that mental trauma we were talking about earlier? Well, this is too much. This sudden realization has pushed you over the edge. I then ruled that for the next 6 rounds or something like that, he had to act under the effects of a confusion spell.
Okay.
Which basically dictates, I think it's 3 things.
Yeah, it was like, depending on the editions, like 3 to 5 actions that you might take. You have to roll randomly every time you take an action. Yeah.
Among them were run around randomly, attack the nearest person, do nothing.
Yeah.
Moment of lucidity, I think, is one of them as well. And I can't remember what the other one is.
This was 3rd edition, 3.5?
3.5, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, there's attack, there's act normally, do nothing but babble incoherently, run around in terror, or attack the nearest creature.
Right. Round 1, attack the nearest creature. He does so. It's a random innocent citizen.
Oh, he wasn't still in the shoe store, huh?
No.
Okay.
No, I waited until he was outside because I thought that would be more fun.
Yeah, of course.
I wanted to make sure he was really committed to wearing those boots out of the shop. So he attacks a random citizen. This attracts the attention of the guards.
As it would.
Yes, as it would. He has, as the guards are approaching him, he has that one where he babbles incoherently.
Mm-hmm.
So now the guards know they've got a crazy guy.
Which, to be fair, is exactly what they had. Because he had just come out of the wilderness. He had been ignoring his clothing and personal hygiene and everything for days and days and days and days. He was already mentally ill, and now he's wandering up and down the street. Yeah, we have those in Chicago all the time. just wandering up and down the street, arguing with the traffic lights.
Yep. The spell ended just as the guards are grabbing hold of him and getting ready to haul him off.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay, check again, see if you've recovered.
Mm-hmm.
He failed that. So we went through the whole routine again. He punched a guard, and they punched back.
As they would.
As they would. They hit him so hard, he passed out.
Which, to be fair, is probably the best outcome he could have had at that point.
He woke up in the cell. I said, okay, check again. He failed that.
They forgot to confiscate his shoes.
Yes.
If they had, it would have been fine. Nah, they're really nice shoes. He could keep those.
He had his episode again, and again it's random babbling. It's attacking the nearest creature, and it's a moment of lucidity. Those are the three he kept hitting.
Mm-hmm. Wham! Oh shit! What am I doing?
The guard
wham! What am I doing?
The guard is standing at the door to his cell. He punches the guard. He babbles incoherently. He has a moment of lucidity. He screams, I'm innocent! I didn't mean to do it! Punches the guard again. The guard hits him. Down he goes. He wakes up one more time. And this is literally rinse and repeat. The same things happen again. This time, the guard hits him with his truncheon. Stay down.
Yeah.
Which he does permanently.
I have to say, actually, these guards are like saints of patience.
Uh-huh. He hits him with a truncheon. It drops him. It kills him, basically. There in the cell. Dead player. Character.
So you learned D&D from Call of Cthulhu, is what I'm hearing.
No.
I mean, you're cruel.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, you delight in it, too.
It's my favorite story.
I can see why.
Because it all starts from a player forgetting what his character is and what his character is interested in.
Well,
theoretically interested in.
Funny because, on the one hand, though, it's basically the same as the fighter after a fight being like, oh, I forgot I could do that move. That's right. Except in this case, when you forget, if you're a druid and you forget your class feature, it terrorizes the wilderness and has to be put down.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was fully expecting, though, that they were going to get hired on a mission because something was terrorizing the countryside, and they were going to get hired to put it down, and then they were going to end up killing his wolf.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
But I have to think that the time frame this all occurred in the game really makes my way more fun. It's the length. It's that slow burn to finally get him.
Yeah. But like I said, that whole thing, the sanity thing, you got other influences going on there.
I'm a much nicer GM now.
I don't believe you at all. I mean, I could even hear the look on your face when you said that. I could hear the look on your face.
Uh-huh. I haven't killed a character in, as far as I can remember, in 8 or 9 years.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I couldn't go that long.
Yeah, I haven't killed one. I've been really nice about it. I've been very forgiving. I mean, I will set up some crazy situations and I will set up some really trying events and I will load things, but I'm very nice about it. I do want to remind people, the website is live. Our email is live. We're on Google Play. We're on iTunes. You can subscribe there. We do want your feedback. So if you have anything in this episode or any of the first 3 episodes that you want to comment on, and I'm sure you do, go ahead and get that into us either in the comments below the show post or email it into us on the feedback. And we will incorporate that in future shows.
Yes, unless we don't like you.
That's right.
If you don't hear your comment read, it's not because we got too many. It's actually a personal slight. Remember that.
Yeah. In fact, we have a list. But you know what?
What?
We're out of time.